So, Adam, as Deputy Chairman and Deputy Mayor of Oakham.
Are you going to kiss him?
Not tonight.
No.
I've already done that. I believe that's what the trolls were.
There you go.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. You've probably noticed tonight that I have not come in and expected everyone to stand up. That's something I'm going to not do. I've decided that as Chairman I'll be sitting in here, and that I would still expect people to raise their hands though if they wish to speak, and also stand when speaking. So it's just a bit of coming in, which I'm going to change. Did you get that, Joyce?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, it's round now. Yeah, facing the front. Okay, apologies.
It's Councillor Howard, Chairman.
Okay.
And Vince.
That's the same person.
Yep, Howard one and the same.
Wake ups.
Okay.
Can I have proposer to accept Vince's
Propose.
Seconder? All those in favour? Thank you. Unanimous. Declarations of interest. Are there any disclosable pecuniary interests for items on the agenda? If there are, then you should make them now in the prescribed book. Or if there's no disclosable pecuniary interests, are there any other interests which you should disclose, which is on the agenda? Okay. Thank you. The minutes. That's the attendance book.
Yes, I have.
Minutes of the meeting of the 13th of May. Are there any questions, any comments about those minutes? Okay, now propose to accept those minutes, please. Voice, stand, second. All in favour?
I'll abstain.
And one abstention for Sharon's go. Okay, thank you. That vanished too. Sorry. Put all these in your office. There it is, hidden below. Okay. Right, just put two of these papers. Thick paper, including together. Okay, Councillors' questions. We have three questions from Councillor Brooks, and I'll read out the question and my answer to it in order. And this is without discussion, it's just a response. And the first question was, it is my understanding that the law clearly states no councillor to make any decision alone, and all decisions should be made by all councillors. Therefore, could the council please explain under what authority was a large sum of money recently paid out for employment, legal advice and personnel services? And the answer is, when making decisions, the council has to take into account all relevant legislation, not only that of local government, and also the responsibility it has to both the community and its employees. In this instance, the council was cognizant of the local government financial requirements and also the duty of care it has for its employees, imposed by both the Health and Safety at Work Act and in common law. The council required urgent occupational health and HR advice, which in the interest of both the public and its employees could not wait. Second question, Oakham Town Council currently has a serious employment issue. Please can you explain why decisions to remedy this issue are not being considered by full council? I presume the reference here is to the recent absence of the town clerk. Because of the decisive action taken in the first answer, the town clerk has now returned from sick leave and after a short phased return to work is back full time. Therefore, presently there is no serious employment issue, but the situation is being monitored. Question 3. It is my understanding the staffing committee has no powers to act for the council, but it appears a long ongoing employment issue is being handled by at least one of the committee's membership. When will the staffing committee provide the full council with a full report and its recommendations for the full council to decide? Answer that is, I refer Councillor Brooks to my previous answer. Thank you. Okay, Chairman and Members' report. I have a short report as Mayor. I've attended 2 functions. The first one was last Friday, the 22nd, at Catmus Primary, and it was their May dance. I must admit, it's the first time I've been to the May dance there, but it was excellent. It showed where all children at the school took part in the dance, of whatever form it was. And they had a tremendous support from the parents. Tremendous support. So it was very pleasing to be there and see the enthusiasm of the school and the parents and the children at the school. On the following day, the Saturday, I was invited to Oakham School Speech Day with the Mayoress, and we attended. And I must admit again, although Oakham School is what I call a private school, the enthusiasm for everybody there for what they were doing was really good. And it was a pleasure to be there, and it was a pleasure to see all these young people. And especially I would bring the head boy and the head girl who gave tremendous speeches. I would hope that some of us might actually come up to us. These people are just 18 years old, so I'd aspire to be a speaker like that. So those are my 2 appointments I've carried out since the last meeting. Are there any other members' reports? I understand.
I've got a brief one. Thank you. There's 5 items on here. It's quite brief, and Richard, I'll give you this at the end so that you don't have to make copious notes. Promotion working group. Councillor Lucas and myself had a meeting before the council broke up. The points that we discussed, and this is just information, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. We discussed things like Oakham Town Council advertising in local publications like the Active magazine and the In and Around Oakham. Band concerts and other events could be advertised there. We are looking into costs. I've asked already if the clerk and the assistant clerk can ensure all the band concert dates are advertised prior to each concert in the local paper this season, as per previous years. Band concerts, are we using casual labour to help on the day again, and will the councillors be supporting on a rota basis these events? And I'd ask the assistant clerk to send an email circular around asking for assistance, and hopefully people are going to step up to the mark. We spoke about freedom of entries for the future. This could be for individuals. This will be a future agenda item. We spoke about reinstatement of the green flag. This will be a future agenda item. We spoke about purchasing some maybe additional bunting, maybe blue and gold, maybe some with Oakham Town crest on. This will be discussion and for future agenda item. We discussed having a presence at the proms in the park and other events. The proms in the park is on the 27th of June, and we're going to have a gazebo there. We do have 2 gazebo-sized slots at the county show, which is on Sunday. Councillor Lucas, Councillor Brooks and myself and Mrs Lowe are going to be there manning the stall. I've got 1 ticket for any other councillor that wants to have that, so they can get into the show and give us a hand. That's the price for the ticket, you have to give us a hand. I will ensure that we have the gazebo set up. We're going to use the World War I display again because it attracts interest. The Oakham Town Council standard notice boards, which Joyce has done, thank you very much, displaying photos and general info, and basically so whoever wants to help, let us know. And then of course welcome, I'll just say now, to the new promotion working group members. I've already sent out an email requesting that we have a meeting on June the 11th. Yeah, so that's what we're aiming for. Those that can't make it, no matter, we'll just play catch up. So that was item 1, so the promotions working group is still alive. Item 2, I attended the Rutland Committee World War I commemoration meeting on April the 21st. One of the things that the council agreed last year was to sponsor or pay for the George Phillips plaque. I'll pass this picture around because this is what the finished article looks like. The George Phillips plaque is now made and paid for, so thank you very much to Oakham Town Council from the committee of the WW1 Rutland. I attended the VE celebration, which had been discussed at this event, which went ahead on May the 8th, so that was discussed at the WW1 meeting. They also spoke about the Friesenberg exhibition, which was unveiled at the museum on May the 8th and runs till June the 12th. This coincides with the freedom of entry to the Leicestershire Derbyshire Yeomanry on June the 14th. And this service will also be the county's annual national commitment in commemoration of the Great War, which is why Colonel Boyle wanted to do that. Looking forward, the committee have plans for educational outreach sessions in schools being planned, details to follow. Future plans to commemorate the Royal Leicestershire Regiment and the Royal Anglian Regiment with a proposed freedom of entry event in 2016 being held in Oakham. And looking further ahead, themes being discussed are, because this is how far they're looking ahead, 2017 is Navy in the Home Front, 2018 is Centenary of the Royal Air Force. So that's what they've been getting on with. Item 3, May the 13th, I was absent, as you're aware. I attended the 100th remembrance of the Battle of Friesenberg, which included a battlefield tour in the morning, followed by lunch at a local cheese factory, which is now a museum, where I had the opportunity to speak to many family descendants of the Leicestershire Yeomanry. And some of these people had come from the Canary Islands and from Australia. In the evening I joined the parade and laid a poppy wreath at the Benning Gate in Ypres, Belgium, and this was on behalf of Oakham Town Council and the Oakham people, and that was followed by dinner at a local hotel. Item 4, contentious issue. Julie and myself have cleared the brook dam at Royce's, because Julie won't sit idle, and she told me off saying we can go down there and do that. So off our own back, as purely good citizens, we went down and looked at what the problem was, and we cleared it. And the pictures that are coming around just show that what had occurred, it was just a build-up of debris. But our recommendation is that perhaps in the future we should do periodic checks. And the last item I need to make you aware of from my reports is the freedom of entry, which is planned for June 14th. Hopefully everyone can make it. Everything at the moment is all running according to plan, and that was from the meeting on May the 18th. Our last meeting is going to be on Monday, but everything is coming into play. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much, and especially for yourself and Julie clearing the book. That's very
Yeah, I had 4 hours rest afterwards because it did me in a bit. She was all right.
Perhaps we could diarise the inspection of the book on an annual basis. Okay, the next item is clerk's reports.
Sorry. Chairman, can I just ask for the member of the public before Richard does his report, can she have the appendices, please? Sorry. But she asked for them.
I had to buy it. I bought it because Colonel Boyle said he wanted everybody in bowl racks.
Thank you, Chairman. Very briefly, everybody. Play inspection, this took place the 14th of May. Sad to report again, damage to wet pour underneath the giant swing at Royce's. That's been authorised to be repaired, and additional edging work required at Willow Crescent. I did actually query this with Wixty, and they will be included in the existing works that are going on, but I have authorised those works. Cemetery Joint Management Committee, obviously members are discussing this representation on this later on. I have talked to Rutland County Council about when the next meeting of this committee will take place. Obviously, Rutland County Council have their annual meeting on Monday when their own representatives will be appointed, and hopefully a meeting will take place as soon as possible after that. Next one down is workplace pensions. Now, members may or may not be aware of the sort of government legislation on automatic enrolment, as it's called now, into workplace pension schemes. Oakham Town Council is obviously part of this, as it employs 2 members of staff. This is very much a staged enrolment throughout the country, and Oakham Town Council, this one's happened by, you've got the date there, March the 1st of next year. Now, everything that we need to do has been done up to now. We're registered with the pensions regulator, we're getting regular updates from them. Also, LRALC are very sending us stuff about this. What I'm planning to do is get a report to members for the July meeting detailing what is involved, what the council's responsibilities are, the likely costs. There are a number of schemes now out there, and the website there for the pensions regulator, if members want to look for more information on it, I think it's actually under automatic enrolment, but there's the website for them. Again, this is sort of being discussed later on, but I'm just going to draw your attention to 3 requests that we've had about using Cuts Close. I think I sent this one out. The Oakham Baptist Church want to use the bandstand Sunday, July the 26th. Obviously there isn't a town council band concert happening on that day. They'd like to bring some live music to accompany a summer picnic for their churchgoers. Rutland County Council have also been in touch, they would like to use a small part of the park for a community safety event, and the proposed date is Wednesday, August the 6th. This will not be, as has happened before, one of these very large, that take up the whole park. This will probably just be in an area where by that point the new skate park will be in. Touchwood. And I have actually had some further information from the person who wants to use part of the park for, as he describes, a sort of boot camp fitness thing. So that will all come out to you as well tomorrow, just so you know what he would like to do. And finally, the land off Barleythorpe Road. I took a call actually from Corey today. They would like, if possible, for a litter bin to be installed in this area. This is obviously the area that the town council now leases from Tresham. So I will be getting, hopefully get some costs, etc. out to you tomorrow for that, for a decision whether we can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Questions from members of the public? Do you have one? Just to remind you that it should be regarding an item on the agenda, and you have 3 minutes for that.
It was just something to do with the clerk's report, first of all. I was under the impression, but I may be wrong, members of the council who've been here longer might be able to tell me, that the clerk himself opted out of the pension scheme and received an extra pay increment in order to do that. I hope that you are aware of that situation. Number 2, although strictly not necessarily on this, I was hoping that you might be able to let me know when the GPOC thing will come up for discussion, and whether members of the council at either this meeting or next will study the GPOC legislation in the Localism Act and work out that annually just has to mean once a year.
As you say, that's not part of the agenda tonight, but it will come to a future meeting. We haven't decided. Okay, item 8 is grant from Rutland County Council. Richard.
Yes, I mean, obviously all members have got a copy of this. The only issue really, because this is a single one-off project that Rutland County Council have awarded £30,500 to Oakham Town Council for. So it's not an ongoing thing, it's a one-off. Hopefully, as has been reported to you before, by the end of next month this will be installed. The only the issue that I would like to bring to your attention is there is another issue that was raised by Councillor Brooks, which is for clause 4.3. I will just draw your attention to this if you but it's double-sided, isn't it? The recipient shall not use a grant to, and B of that is build an outright new facility. Now this is not an outright new facility. Obviously it's a replacement for the existing one. That was clearly stated on the original application, so Rutland County Council are aware of that, so it doesn't contravene that, it's a replacement. Finally, the last thing really is that there isn't anywhere for the chairman to sign. The only two options given are by a company, which obviously Oakham Town Council isn't, or as a charity, which obviously the Town Council isn't either. I've left messages with Mr Croston at Rutland County Council. I've left two now for him to get in touch so we can resolve this. It could just be that it's, we just have a new single piece of paper on the back for parish council to sign. Okay, so that doesn't restrict you from making a decision tonight to authorise the chairman to sign it. If we can get that done, if members are happy to do that, then the paperwork will follow, as they say.
Any questions about this item?
It's a comment. I just wanted, because people obviously comment that I'm a stickler for rules and regulations, I just wanted to point out that we're getting a grant from Rutland County Council and there are 29 pages of terms and conditions. I'm not suggesting that we should be this cautious with public money, but I think there's something to learn from this agreement here. And while I'm up, could I also ask that as part of this project, because I don't think it's going to come back to the council, that we get an LED floodlight so that it hasn't worked, the floodlight which was paid for out of Inspector Monks's discretionary fund for the young people, probably for more than about 3 months in the last 4 years that it's been there. So if that could be noted by the clerk to sort out perhaps a new LED light to floodlight the new facility. Thank you.
Your point has been noted.
Thank you.
If there's no other comments, no other questions, can I propose that the council should authorise the chairman of the council to sign the document and if necessary to be witnessed by the clerk of the council once we get the correct sheet from Rutland County Council.
And I'll second.
All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you very much. On to item 9, which is grant applications. First application is from Rutland Citizens Advice Bureau. Does anybody wish to make any comments about this application?
I don't want to be first.
If you don't get in, you might not get in quick enough.
I was going to make sure I put my hand up. I didn't want to be first.
Come on.
I wondered really whether the CAB, because obviously I've been enlightened to new regulations, well not new regulations, but regulations which I didn't know about, that the Town Council can actually lawfully support the CAB. It's lost a lot of funding over the years, and it does quite a grand job. At one stage, this council used to grant them £5,000 a year. When you consider the work the volunteers put in over there, and the workload has grown considerably over the last few years due to the recession or whatever, that £1,000 to the CAB is not really going to, it'll help, but it's not going to be a lot. So I was just wondering, I know the budget has been set, but we're a new council. Is there no way that the budget can go for a review and actually the Town Council supports the CAB and fills a bit of a funding gap of an organisation that is very heavily used by the community? Because I don't actually see that this is the proper channel for the grant. The grant is supposed to be for like what we're coming up to as the next applicant, not actually for running a service. And I think that actually says in the Localism Act, or the Local Government Act, that grants can't be given towards running costs. So that's the issue. It's not that I don't want them to have the money, but I would like to see the council give them actually a bit more money, and for a purpose that people will know that that the town council is supporting them. Anyway, I won't go on.
I think the point is that once the budget is set, we can't go back and go for supplementary budgets.
We have what we call a flex budget, but surely there must be somewhere, because I've seen other councils that have done a complete review of, particularly in a political situation where political status has changed, where a council budget has been changed.
Right.
Well, I mean, the actual amount the council receives in the precept can't be changed.
No. But
and so, the council set its budget and levied the precept to obviously cover its anticipated expenditure against its income. Obviously, what the council can do is look at the amounts within individual budget headings and say, well, actually, we could take some from there to increase the amounts for grants, or make a one-off to the Sustained Advice Bureau, whatever. I mean, that's obviously something that the council is quite within its rights to do.
Or take it out of reserve.
Or but that would be a decision for the council.
Indeed. Joyce,
I don't have a problem with the last page, which says contribution to overall running costs. Can we not ask the lady in question, Clayton Jane, to come back with something that we can actually do as I'm not saying rugby shirts or whatever, but a project that they've got that we can contribute to. I'm not really happy with the contribution to the overall running cost. Just making a point, Chairman.
well, yes, it is a point there, because we have guidelines for grant applications. You'll see on items 4 and 5, grants are not awarded as general contributions to running costs. An application must have a specific purpose.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure we're all sympathetic towards CAB, they do a wonderful job. But unfortunately, at the moment, that, under our guidelines, means that we can't give a grant for this application because she wants it for running costs.
Can Jane come back with
Well, I mean, there's no harm. I don't know, how much have we got left in this budget now?
That's a very good question.
4,000?
The amount for grants was 8,580 was given to Oakham in Bloom, and 1,000 was given to.
So we've still got a considerable amount in there.
But again, the guidelines, Chairman, number 1.
No organisation will receive more than £1,000. So we're hog-tied by our own guidelines at the moment.
Yeah.
I'll come to you in a minute.
okay.
So, I mean, we could look at this in a different light, as Councillor Brooks has just been stating, but this application cannot be agreed because it doesn't meet our guidelines. Now, if there was another application which came, and there was a proposal to grant whatever to the CAB, but we are making an exception in that case, and we've got to be very careful about making exceptions. So that would be, but I'll take your views on it.
Can I suggest that obviously you all understand that it should be rejected, but at this opportunity we can make a recommendation that we tell them why it's been rejected, but the council wants to support, and we can't make the decision on how much money tonight, and you can obviously support running costs by making it in another way, a contribution which has the power to act. I think that Richard pointed out to me in the week under the 1972 Act, Section 12, was it Richard, I think he said, or something? Or something, it's close, you can't remember everything. So if we could maybe suggest that, if people support it, that it then came back to council or whatever with a figure that the council Because there must be something under those headings that can be moved around, and I'd like to see the situation knowing the extent of the work that goes on there and the fact that they've had funding cuts from other organisations. It's difficult for them, and I'd like to see them supported.
Chairman, just to say that that's what I've already said. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, I think we're in agreement, well, I hope we're in agreement, that unfortunately this application falls foul of the guidelines which we have at the moment. And obviously we can go back to CAB and say the reasons why we would have to turn this down, because it's made towards general running costs and we do not give grants for that under this scheme. And we can then invite them to put another bid in, if they wish, for something different, whatever they think would meet the application, the guidelines for grant applications. Whether you want to consider at that time some additional funding for the CAB outside of this grant application, I leave that to you. We can come back to that once we receive another application from the CAB.
I can't see how they can do it.
Do you want to vote on
Sorry,
that?
did you want to say something then?
Sorry. But yeah, I'll just say I can't actually see how they can, the organisation itself, whatever money they have, they're providing a service which is, the money would be used to, as running costs. So I can't see that a grant application is the way forward.
Yeah, what I was suggesting was outside of this grant
Yeah,
application scheme. Yeah. So
Sorry, I misunderstood because
Yeah,
you
so
were sort of
we're-
saying that they got to come back to us, but I think it's got to be rejected. But then have a discussion, perhaps yourself, with them of what they really need,
perhaps
and
it
then
goes
come
on
back to
CAB.
the council
Okay. Yes, I think we give
with a
them,
figure.
we give them the opportunity
Yeah.
to come back to us, and then we can consider that
Yes,
application.
and
at
it
the
could
time.
become an
Well,
annual support.
come on back.
As one of those, with that essay, you're still bound by this. I mean, if members can forgive me for a moment, I would suggest that if they're minded to, that the initial application from the CAB is rejected because it contravenes council's own guidelines. But as the chairman just pointed out, that perhaps discussions with the CAB, and the members themselves, that we have an agenda item, maybe even at the next meeting, that as a contribution to the Citizens Advice Bureau outside the grant application scheme.
Yeah.
And then members themselves can decide, if they wish, on an amount that has been pointed out either from within the existing budget or from the council's reserves, as a general contribution to the Rutland Citizens Advice Bureau.
Do you want to vote on that?
Do you, Paul?
Yes, only a very quick question, Mr. Chairman. I noticed that they've applied to Uppingham Town Council for 2,000. Are our rules that we work to, sorry because I'm new to this, are our rules quite different to Uppingham Town Council?
I don't know what Uppingham guidelines are. Obviously, we only allow £1,000. Uppingham applied to £2,000 for Uppingham. I'm not sure what restrictions Uppingham put on it, if they put any at all.
It seems a bit sad if we've got the office here and we're giving them less support than Uppingham are.
And the large
I
proportion,
know you should work that out like that, but
I would say a large proportion of the people who are serviced by the CAB come from Oakham.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
50%.
Chairman, of course, they might have applied for 2,000, they might not get 2,000.
No, that's always the
And
possibility.
can we stop saying rejected? We've only just sort of turned it down until such time as, we haven't outright rejected
Would
it.
you have a word with CAB?
If you can use another term.
Unfortunately,
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk to Jane about it.
Yeah, can we then have a proposal to refuse the
Yes.
CAB grant application on their submission, but authorise the clerk to talk to Jane Clayton-Jones about a further submission?
Yes, I'll go with that one.
You go.
Thank you.
can I second it?
Okay, all in favour?
Seconded by
And the clerk will have a word with Jane Clayton-Jones. That's unanimous. Okay, thank you.
before we
Within Okay, thank you for that. The next one is from Oakham Rugby Club, where the application is for, well, to establish a girls under 15 rugby team. I think that's the main thrust of this application, which they're looking for kit up to approximately £1,000. Comments on that, please? Yes, Scott.
I've read this and I've actually seen the letter of application which is referred to on here. I don't know if the other members have seen it. I'm not sorry, it has now, yeah. I'm not against the application, but what I would like the council to do if they approve it is, because if you read this, it's obviously somebody quite passionate, but also it's sort of a bit in desperation, and I say that in the kindest words. There's no other funding from any other organisation, and from what I've seen of past experience of public money being handed out from the old council, there's not been any control. So if the council is minded to approve this, which would then help the applicant, is that I would suggest or ask that you consider that the money isn't sent to them, but they're pledged it on the basis that they get the other funding, which will then help them when they go to other businesses, as been suggested, to say, well, we've got a pledge from Oakham Town Council to sponsor our kit, or whatever figure you decide in that. But I don't think something which is new, which is struggling, should just be handed a cheque, when basically if it goes belly up, we can't get it back. We had that with the carnival, and we don't want that again. Thank you.
Far from me being sexist on this,
I didn't want to mention that.
I can't see any evidence that these youngsters are actually trying to get some money together. And 2 weeks ago I gave 50p because some youngsters were packing bags at Tesco, and I do think that just sometimes they should be doing something towards it as well, just for encouragement and just to show that they take pride in what they're doing. And I really don't think we should always give what they have asked for, £1,000. I think we should be pledging us. All right, it might only be £200 less or something, but not to be handing out just willy-nilly. I go along with it, but I do think they should be self-supporting as well, if you see what I mean.
That's in a way an allusion to the idea of matching, isn't it? That funds should be given pound for pound to an organisation that does something to get some funds together. That seems to have nothing wrong with it, and a lot of things right about it. Secondly, isn't this what the leader of the council said? They'd had applications for Section 106 money in his letter in the local paper to the person who said, why hasn't culture had more of that money? And the thinking, I thought, was that teams had been given money, and therefore this is a NASCAN team. Shouldn't that be their first?
Sorry, are you saying that they've already received money from County Council's 106 grant?
Isn't that their first?
I don't know.
No, a rhetorical question.
Can I just put a quick, well, you looked at me, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
A very quick point, if you were to, I don't know if you have, but might not remember, but in the Rutland County Council conditions of grants, it specifically says that you cannot apply to Rutland County Council for personal sportswear. So that may be why they come to Oakham Town Council, because we don't say that. So they may have asked Rutland County Council for some money, but their rules there say not for personal sportswear.
Yeah, I think the reason is because the Agricultural Society has got the ground. They've got the ground. There's two separate items. Rutland Agricultural Society are separate to the rugby and football, although they're in the same complex.
Yeah.
And they have had a grant, or the grant's in the pipeline for the Rutland Agricultural Society.
Any other comments on that?
I agree with Joyce, to some extent on this, because I think it's a very well-run club, it's very well organised, it's very well patronised, it's been going for a number of years, they've got a good bar there, they've got a good turnout Saturday and Sundays. I can't understand how they're so desperate for money. I really can't. I'm not saying I'm against it, what I'm saying is I find it very surprising that they haven't got some contribution to make towards it.
Okay.
But, so I'm not saying don't do it, but I think perhaps reducing the amount, because we've done, being in Lions, we've done things for various clubs before on this basis, and you just never know where it's going to go, where it's going to end. I know she says at the end of her application, just Mrs. Crone, that she'll make the seats available to us, so we know she'll buy the stuff. I don't think that's the issue.
No.
But I just think it's the amount we're looking for. It's quite a large sum of money in total.
Okay. Okay. Can I have a proposal then, please, first? Taking into account everything that's been said.
I propose, Chairman, we say, well done. You need to be having a jumble sale, no, something like that, and that we would pledge £750. I don't know what price to put on this.
Sorry?
750. Okay.
I don't know.
Their total, the total cost of the project, £7,200. Personally, I would like to see how that money is going to be spent. I would like to see a breakdown of that cost, because we don't know.
No.
We don't know what it's for.
So,
Apparently it's under part 2, which is just shown to me. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, the total overall cost of what they want to do is actually outlined in part 2. Set up and establish the girls under 15 team with kids, approximately 1,000, kit approximately 1,000. Kits for the junior section, obviously there's quite a few of those, and other new kits. So all of that comes to, the overall project is a cost of 7,200, but they are applying for the maximum that the council will give, which is 1,000. So it's, the proposal on the table is from Councillor Lucas that the sum of £750 is awarded.
Sorry, I go on with what Councillor Brooks has said. Can it be pledged rather than given? I'm not sure on that, but sorry, I'm getting...
Yes, I'm on,
I'm just a bit uneasy on whether it should just be pledged.
Yeah, Mrs. Lucas said what I was going to reiterate, but it does concern me, and I don't want to offend the lady or anything, but it's a new project, and I would be happy to support it if there was actually some enthusiasm, because when I read this last line, it almost sounds like someone has given up when it's asked basically, are there any other funds available if your application's unsuccessful? Not at present moment, but we live in hope. Or do I take that as being, I've given up so soon? And that's my concern about handing over taxpayers' money to somebody who hasn't, lives in hope. And I agree with, I think it was Mr. Mills when he said, you know, they've got a successful bar. Maybe there's the bit about Joyce says not wanting to be sexist. It's because it's a girl thing and maybe the men don't want to support it. I don't know, I'll get into trouble for saying that, but surely if there was a boys' club and they would have a raffle at the members' club, I don't know.
Yeah.
But we need to see some evidence that they're actually going to.
Raise some themselves.
So I don't want to stop the ball rolling, and I like the idea of saying, yes, we'll make the money available if you raise maybe match
You're talking
funding.
about the rugby ball, right?
Sorry?
You're talking about the rugby ball rolling. Stand.
Well, basically, so, I was going to say, basically, in saying it, I would like to see some form of contribution from them, whereas there is nothing. There is nothing pledged by them towards the cost of anything.
So, Josh, you put a proposal on the table granting £750.
Yes, I don't, yes, Chairman, but if you do know Mrs. Crellin, I live in Hope is the way she and I both talk. You know, no problem.
Okay, comments have been made about having some form of internal fundraising, whether it be matched or whether it be the extra £250. Do we want to take that into account?
Yeah. Yes, yes, I propose that.
Would you like to amend your
Well,
proposal?
to whatever you've just said.
The council, okay, so Oakham Town Council will give £750 once it is evidenced that a further
250. Well, this is purely for the rugby team, isn't it? The shirts, the kit.
Yeah. Yes, but they must do their bit. The youngsters must do their bit, and I don't know how we could get that across, really. But and I still go along with. I just have to say, a pledge. I'm a bit wary.
So we're just trying to
We're just trying to
get the wording of the resolution.
Well, tell me, and I'll tell you which one.
Well, firstly, is this basically towards the girls under 15s rugby team? That's the first thing. Is that the specific project?
The kit.
Kit approximately £1,000.
Well, I'm sorry.
Go on, Simon. I'll let you speak first.
That's the first bit. Is that what, if that is what members would like to pledge money to? But on once it is evidence that the remaining £250 has been raised.
So yes, you've just said 1,000. It's 750.
Yeah, but the £750 will be paid once
they have
Oakham Rugby Football Club have informed the council that the remaining £250 has been raised by whatever means.
packing a testament.
And as a person who's now on the publicity and working group, can I suggest that it would be normal for the major sponsor to perhaps have their logo incorporated into the kit? Because I think that's quite an important, it's accepted throughout games, you know. So
we did discuss this in private, that whether the council's logo should be on the shirt and subject to all the mud and everything else. I don't know, there's some
it's council's allowed to sponsor sports.
Yes, I'm not decrying it. It was just whether that would be the case, or whether should we actually say to them that we'd want some acknowledgement.
Or even if it was just a badge that said Oakham Town Council in blue, if you didn't want the crest running around on the crest. Sponsored by Oakham Town Council.
Okay, well, across the front.
Well, not big, but just in a way that would be, even if it's just a stitched badge on the shirt or something.
Okay, can I say finally, from my point of view?
We need to draw this to a close now.
Indeed. I think I'm a great believer in trying to support youth in sport. Basically, this hasn't been mentioned, and it's nice to see girls or boys playing sport rather than standing on street corners. You know, I think that this would be money well spent.
I think we'll agree with that. I don't think we just think £150, and we're going to word it, and evidence of the £250 being raised by the club or
the youngsters
in the club.
Yes.
And is that how we're going to pay that though? Is it going to be a £750 cheque to the club, or do we want to see receipts for the kit and then pay it on receipts?
Oh yes.
Which is there a problem with that?
Does that work?
Is there a problem with that, Richard?
I assume they've got the money to buy the kit in the first place.
Just give them £750.
Well, I think under normal circumstances, I mean, if members can just go back here, the resolution, which I'm going to try and read to you now, is that the Town Council will pledge £750 towards the cost of girls under 15 rugby kit once the rugby club can provide evidence that the remaining £250 has been raised.
By the youngsters.
Now, if
Can
you want
we
to
not
put...
do that?
It doesn't matter then.
I don't even prove that, Joyce.
It's a
Sorry,
shame, really.
carry on.
and that will be paid to them, and then once the kit's bought, the receipt for the purchase will be given to us.
Yeah.
So once the rugby club or Mrs. Cronin says yes, we have the £250. This is how it was raised, or however it was done.
Yeah.
So fine, and we'll give them, the council will write the cheque out for them, and they can buy the kit.
I think there probably has to be some element of trust, and they can't be expected to go out if they haven't got funds. She said they spent all their reserves, so, but I was wondering if there is a way that with negotiations with the clerk with them, obviously they know the company who's going to be supplying them, whether that company sends the town council a pro forma invoice once the order is placed, and either the council pays direct to the company or if it has to pay the club, but it just shows that...
We'll pay direct to the club.
But then a pro forma invoice will show that the order's been placed, won't it?
We would need proof that the
Yeah.
kit has been bought. If I'm missing you down this.
Yeah.
Would you have to ring me?
Yeah, I miss you, it might hit me. After listening to a debate that has taken longer than the Gettysburg Address, I am finding it hard to believe we've done anything but rewrite our grants policy this evening, because at the end of the day we have openly said we encourage sporting activities. It's been said in this room within the last half an hour that this organisation is long established and has performed well, and we are making it harder than anything for this application to go through. We have laid out an application process, and now we are pulling it to bits and making it difficult for people to get the money. If we agree on the figure of £750, we should agree on the figure of £750, unless we've stipulated something previously in our applications or our processes that they have to leap through X amount of hoops. And I think that we have wasted 20 minutes. Thank you.
Well, if I just say one last thing, I think the problem is the old council reviewed the grants policy, and they actually withdrew things like match funding and safeguards, which, as you put it, makes it simple. But we're talking about handing public money, and I don't believe that, personally, that the application, and I don't want to upset the lady, but I don't think the application is professional. That's probably going to upset people, but it's not professional. So to just hand over money to people who say they don't have money, they have no idea of how they're going to raise money, is a risk of taxpayers' money. If she'd come to me here and said, Oakham Town Council, we're going to have a raffle at the club this weekend, we're going to have... I know other organisations in the county who've had bingo and things, you know, for a skate park. So we're not trying to block it. I'm fully supportive of it, but I just feel that in the past the council's given money to organisations and it hasn't been spent on what it's supposed to be, and I don't want to be responsible for that. So I'm not saying they shouldn't get it, we just want that one safeguard that they're going to go out and raise that £250 that's been suggested, and then they get the money. I mean, I don't think that's...
I'll take one more, that's my...
Can there not be a couple of quotes for the kit in question and what's involved as well? Because it's not very professional just to...
Surely that's the rugby clubs.
But that's our
We
fault.
can't go to seek money without a bit of detail.
We will get receipts.
There's indicative costs in there.
Yeah, we will get receipts. A copy of receipts for all expenses on grounds will be required.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, a lot of money for some kit for a girls' section.
Well, I presume it's going to be more than 15 shirts.
Oh, even if you say 30 shirts. But It's not just shirts, obviously. So what is
Well,
it?
shirts, shorts, socks.
What is involved? Oh, well, probably some tackle bags and all the other stuff that is. But it wouldn't do any harm to submit it, would it?
We get into minutiae now.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, I think it's.
Well, I'm aware now, we've been discussing this for getting 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But
I
in a way, the discussion has been about the principle
I agree
of
with
how to respond to a
Yes, I
question.
agree.
Yeah.
Can we now look at the proposal in front of us, please? Could you read that again, Richard?
Have you got time?
At £750 be placed towards the cost of the girls under 15 girls rugby team once evidence is provided that the remaining £250 has been raised. That's really it.
That is being proposed by Joyce. Do I have a
So
second?
it's, so it's pledged, not awarded.
Seconder is
Paul?
Paul. All those in favour? 2, 3, 4. All those against?
I'm sorry, I'm aghast here as to why councillors that are supporting this and arguing for it are now abstaining.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. We
Those
haven't had
can I
that
just
yet.
take the vote? Those abstaining?
I'll change, so I will vote in favour of this, sorry.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favour and abstentions again, please? 3, was it?
3 abstentions.
2,
They're not
3.
using their
Okay.
vote. All
Okay.
right.
3 abstentions, okay. That's passed then, thank you. We move on.
I'm not going to.
Representatives on outside votes. Okay, we now have a number of outside bodies which we wish to appoint members to. We'll run through them individually. The first one is Oakham Cemetery Joint Management Committee. At the present time we've got Councillor Adam Lowe and the clerk on the committee. There is formally one vacancy, but I understand there's interest which may result in possibly 2 people wishing to be on, and I understand that there's no problem with us appointing a further 2, if you agree to Adam Lowe. Sorry,
Did you want to?
first, you're up first,
Can
yeah.
I nominate Adam Lowe and I believe Mr Stubbs?
No, I'll give them to you, come on.
No,
I nominate.
sorry.
It's up to you.
Sorry?
You're first. You're first.
I've already said I want to be on it.
So you're nominating yourself?
No, I thought you'd make it.
No, I said I'd like to nominate.
Oh, you nominate, sorry,
Mr.
I didn't hear that.
Sorry, I was,
Okay.
speak up,
Yeah.
and I have to look at Joyce as well, so it's, I nominate Mr Stubbs, who's expressed an interest to assist on that committee.
Okay, so we've got Stan Stubbs nominated. There was a seconder for Stan.
No.
Michael, thank you.
And I'll nominate George. George, you wanted to come on, didn't you?
Yes, can I say I've been on this joint committee for about 10 years, until very recently. Yes. Not in your time.
Oh right, okay, sorry Judge.
Okay. I have worked hard for the cemetery. I know the history of the cemetery. I was there when the extension was done. And it's going to be hard work, and I'm prepared to do the work.
Are you nominating yourself for that one, Joyce?
I'll nominate
Okay,
Joyce.
have a seconder for Joyce. Stan. We have a nomination for Adam Lowe as well, please.
I think Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
Mark, you've already nominated.
Yeah, thank you, Martin.
Well, then, Mr Blankstreet.
Second.
Second
Okay.
by
Has somebody
Very
seconded
well.
Mr Stubbs?
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take all these in as one vote. We've only got 3. Is that right with you?
Well, I mean, members of proposed and seconded Councillor Stubbs, Councillor Mrs Lucas and Councillor Lowe to serve on the Cemetery Joint Management Committee. I don't know whether it's proposed that. I don't think you need a proposal. There has to be an officer there.
The clerk is ex officio anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it's basically that are all members in agreement with that?
Well,
Proposal
okay,
for
I'll-
those 3 members, please.
okay, we've got 3 nominations, 3 seconders for Adam, Joyce and Stan. Okay, and seconds for that. We've got seconds, haven't we?
No, second.
Seconds, okay. All those in favour, those 3. Sorry, get it right.
Put your hand up.
Okay, that's
Unanimous.
fine. Yeah,
All 3 go on.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's
Are we
fine.
overloading that then?
No.
No, not with the amount of work, not with the amount of work you've got to do.
I know.
It'll actually come in handy because in actual fact with my work, if I can't make it, we've always got 2.
Citizen Advice Bureau. There's one vacancy. Any nominations for the Assistant Vice Bureau vacancy?
Well, Councillor Brooks said that he was interested in the CAB, and I don't know if he would consider doing it.
I'm actually not mentioning names, but I did question, and well, not question, but had a discussion with the lady at the CAB, and it's my view in the past that the person who was on it wasn't actually doing what they were supposed to do, because it would help when
Are you interested in being on?
yeah, but I'm just going to say, in case anybody else is interested in the role, if I can just explain, if that's
They can
okay.
speak for themselves. You know.
No, but I could just explain what she told me the role was.
Can I just ask who she is?
Sorry, the lady in charge,
Jane Clayton-Jones.
Jane Clayton-Jones. I can't remember everyone's name. Sorry, no
I
disrespect.
think we're fairly aware of what the CAB does.
But I don't think people realise what the role was supposed to be, how they were supposed to go along and listen and then report back facts and figures to the council.
I don't want to delay it any longer. I mean, I'm fairly sure that most people are aware of what the CAB does.
Can I propose Councillor Brooks?
Your first Councillor Brooks. Are you accepting the nomination?
Yes, I accept
Okay.
it.
Second day vote. All those in favour? You voted, please, sir?
Sorry if I'm allowed.
Unanimous, okay.
Thank you.
Trustees of Victoria Hall. There is one vacancy on that. Anybody wishes to nominate the trustees of the Victoria Hall?
Not unless you can make curtains.
Yeah, but you've indicated interest, but you've now gone into the CAB. Are you still
Well,
interested in Victoria Hall?
I'm still interested in Victoria Hall because, sorry, I'll stand up, because I'd like to sort of put a bit of influence into actually get it used a bit more for the community and arts.
If there's no other people, I'll propose Councillor Brooks.
Second. All those in
Nobody wants to
favour?
do anything.
No, they just...
All those in favour, please?
Please
Stand.
thank you.
Michael, you voted, Mike?
Sorry.
Okay. Oakham United Charities, there's two vacancies.
Does somebody tell us what that is?
No, I
Yes, actually, Chairman, if I may. Basically, Oakham United Charities only meets once a year. It has a small sum of money available to it that it grants in small, very small amounts. I think it's up to sort of £50 to aid students from Oakham in their studies. It only meets once a year in early December. It usually actually meets here. So it is only once per year, and that's all they do. Just make very small grants for students to buy books or whatever, and students have to apply to the secretary, who is Janet Dawson.
I don't mind going on that. For once,
Okay.
once in a year.
You're proposing yourself, Joyce?
Well, somebody...
Okay, any
Propose Joyce.
all those in favour of Joyce?
Yeah.
Okay. Willing Together, which is...
Yeah, that's two.
Sorry, two vacancies, my apologies. I'm
One
sorry.
more.
Anybody else wishes to be on? Paul?
Yes.
You have to do it.
Okay, second
Yeah.
for Paul?
Yes.
Stan? All those in favour? Sorry for
No,
missing.
to say it is just once a year.
Yeah, it's not an arduous task, I would say. Okay, Rutland Together, which is the local strategic partnership. This body has not met now for at least a year, and I'm on it, and I wish to stand down from it because I don't have much work anyway. It is coordinating all the. You see, the next one is the Cultural and Leisure Group, which Joyce is on. It coordinates the works of about 6-7 groups, which are looking after the various aspects of the county's infrastructure and culture, leisure, environment, everything else. So it is an over. They used to call themselves the board, I think, but I don't think they call them that now. It's an overview of all the groups that work on it. And I say they've not met now for at least a year, and they keep cancelling the meetings. So I'm not sure exactly whether it's going to continue or not, or whether it's a real balance.
Is that during the day? And
It is usually during the day.
all right.
Usually during the day, yes. Does anybody wish to be considered for Rutland Together? Interesting when they have a meeting, believe me, it's very interesting, but unfortunately not many meetings.
Why has it not? It does sound like a talking shop on the description so far.
It possibly has become a talking shop, I think, you're right there, yes. But a lot of the information you get, because you get all sorts of input from the health service, you get to talk about wellbeing boards and all that sort of thing, which is quite interesting. It is interesting when it meets, but unfortunately it's not got to meet in the last year.
So it's an information source then, really?
It's an information
for the
source.
council.
It's also it is a decision-making source because they do have certain funds which they allocate. Are you interested?
When they do meet, how often do they meet?
Quarterly.
All right.
Okay. Michael proposed himself second. All in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. LSP Culture and Leisure Group, presently Joyce. Do you wish to continue, Joyce?
Yes, please.
Okay. Does anyone else wish to go on the group? No? Okay, so have a seconder for Joyce? Sam? All in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Oakham in Bloom. Now, Adam is on at the moment, wishes to stand down.
Yeah.
I understand David is interested.
Because I go to the meeting.
Yeah. I just wonder though, is there a conflict of interest if you are, what are you at Oakham in Bloom?
Vice Chair.
You're Vice Chair. I just wonder if there's a conflict of interest, if something should come up.
Well, even if he's the chair and he even calls the rep, there's still a conflict of interest because he's the council. So that to me it made.
Yeah, well that's the point I was making to you.
I don't think it's a good idea, but I don't know.
You're looking to do
Well,
this.
if it's somebody else wants to do it.
I don't have a problem with that because I think there was a situation with another organisation where it was felt there was too many councillors on it, and as Mr Blanksey will know, if something comes to council he would have to declare anyway, so he would, being the vice chair, he's going to be the person who can report, he'll be allowed to report, but be able to tell us exactly the facts, rather than someone turning up and who might misread what's required.
Yeah.
So I don't see that there's a problem with it.
If you're happy with that?
So I would nominate Councillor Blanksby.
Okay,
Martin?
Seconded?
Michael.
Seconded. All those in favour?
So I better vote on
Sorry.
No, abstain.
One abstention.
Don't.
All vote for one abstention.
And Joyce abstain.
Joyce abstention.
Technically, if you put
Okay,
someone
next
else,
is-
it's two councillors.
Next thing is the Trustees Memorial Institute. Usually meets quarterly in the early evening and is primarily involved in distributing grants to local organisations. Sam?
As I indicated, I've spoken to Vince today because he's unable to be here, and he expressed an interest to go onto this institute.
You're proposing?
I'm proposing Vince.
Okay.
Yes, and I'll
Anybody?
second that.
Okay, is anybody else interested in Memorial Institute? No? And you're seconded? Julie?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour? Okay.
Thank you.
Rutland Access Group has one vacancy. Councillor Brooks has indicated an interest in this.
I propose mine.
Are you still interested?
Well, I don't want to put someone else off because I've done a little bit of research and spoke to people, and most people don't actually, since I've learned, sort of think that it actually achieves anything. It seems to, and I don't want to do that, but it seems to upset retailers because they go around with a mobility scooter and say, why can't I get in your shop? And then nothing's ever achieved. So I'm a bit
Perhaps
worried.
change in the Rutland Access Group.
Bit worried about its purpose as well.
Raise awareness.
Well, perhaps it is raising awareness. I've sat on it for a very short time.
Yeah.
But, raising awareness.
If you've got a listed building, it's not really helpful for somebody from the council or whatever to just turn up with a mobility scooter, which they do, and say, why can't I get in your shop? When actually you can't do anything about it. So I'd be quite happy to let someone else do it.
Just to say, throughout Rutland, and I do remember a place of work that I worked at, that they came to see that the public could get in. So really and truly, it's a Rutland thing. I'm not sure how they get out to all of Rutland on this, that's the only thing. But I would have thought Martin would have been the prime person for this.
I've got no transport, that was an issue
Mobility
as
scooter.
well. Yeah, they might put me in it instead of the former planning officer.
There's no problem. The meeting was held in VAR, and if they went, say, to Livingston to do a check, then there'd be cars to take people out.
Yeah, well,
So there's
I
no
can't
problem.
see any problem why Martin has got a problem. Because it's not about Oakham, it's about Rutland. And it's an important
Can I try and help make Councillor Brooks's mind up by proposing him?
No, it's already been proposed by Adam, actually.
I'm not accepting that proposal. I don't want to, but you don't want to do it.
No, I won't do it because I've had a lot of, it's just, I support the principle, but it's just certain Rutland County councillors have sort of put me off.
They're not on it.
So no, but they know that it doesn't have any clout.
Oh, yes, it does.
Well, then Mrs. Lucas, I could suggest that Mrs. Lucas should do it. Well, Mrs. Lucas, can I?
Okay, well, we need to withdraw that nomination.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but then I could take on too much as well, so.
Are there any other nominations for Rutland Access Group?
Not then, we'll just wait.
Then we'll just have to leave that void for the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Oakham Town Partnership, which has 3 members on it. I would like to remain on it. Remains 2 vacancies.
I'd like to propose myself,
Okay.
and also Vince has indicated that he would like to do this as well.
Okay. So you're proposing yourself and proposing Vince?
Yes.
As that makes 3 people who want to go in, can I make a suggestion? Because I believe, and I don't know if it's changed, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you are registered as a director of it, so which gives you the right to go, doesn't it?
Well, I'm now stood down, so I'm not a director.
Okay,
It's
so-
got to be changed at Company's House.
Okay, sorry, yeah, but I was just saying that if you were already there, then it would make room for the 2 councillors, but as you're no longer going to be a director, then obviously...
The directors are the chairman, the vice chairman, the treasurer and the company secretary.
Okay, I didn't know
And
that
changes
would
with
change.
whoever's there, yeah.
So are we looking
Okay, well,
at-
we've got Stan. Can I have a seconder for Stan, please?
David, thank you.
All those in... Oh, shall we do them both together, please?
No, let's do them all.
One at a time, right? Okay. All those in favour of Stan joining Oakham Town Partnership?
Yeah.
Joyce, you're looking bemused. What's the matter?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's you and 2 vacancies, isn't it?
Yes, so we
But somebody else was named.
And Vince, you
Yes.
proposed Vince. Have a seconder for Vince.
Yes,
That's Joyce, thank you.
Okay. All those in favour of Vince?
yeah.
Okay.
Proposed
I'm proposing myself now.
Second.
Or against.
All those in favour?
Yeah,
Is that unanimous? Sorry, I didn't see all the hands go
Yeah.
up. Unanimous? Okay, thank you. So, that's the 3. Yes.
So it says 2 vacancies, so shouldn't there be an election for the 3 members?
No, there's
Yeah,
3.
that's what
There's
I
3.
just asked.
But the point was that I was on, there's 2 of the vacancies.
Oh right,
That's
that's the
right.
confusing thing there,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it is 3 spaces.
3.
Sorry, it's just me getting confused with
Okay,
it.
Voluntary Action Rutland, apparently this is now defunct, isn't it? This
Yeah, I did speak to Lindsay at VAR. It is currently defunct. They are talking about whether the committee that the Oakham Town Council represented, which was obviously Maureen Dodds for many years, there was a sort of well, not a subcommittee, that's the wrong word, but there was a committee of outside organisations that is now defunct. They're talking about whether they are going to resurrect it. So really, I don't see the point in having anybody on there until we know whether it's
No.
going to be brought back or not.
Can we then propose to read that void at the moment? Second?
Yeah.
Can we concentrate, please? Excuse me, please, no talking, unless you want to talk to everybody else. Stan, you've
Yes.
proposed that we do not nominate anyone for this and it remains void at the moment. Can I have a second of that? Paul? All those in
Thank you.
favour?
Is this voluntary action?
Yeah, VAR.
Yeah.
Which is what I was just saying.
Okay, until the Oakham Castle Restoration Project. Presently, there is Adam Lowe is on that and wishes to remain, and Councillor Brooks has indicated he wishes to be considered. So, any points, Joyce?
Just that at the outset I did actually offer my services to this, and I have, it seems to have gone into the ether somewhere.
Okay.
So I would like to...
You like to be considered as well?
Sorry, say
You
again?
would like to be considered
Yes,
as well?
please.
Okay. So we have 3 people wishing to be considered with 2 vacancies.
It's a change.
Lightens.
Sorry.
No, I'm staying.
I'm changing. I'm saying that I'm quite happy not to do it because Mr. Mills would like to. Sorry, Mr. Elliott. Sorry, I confused you two. Mr. Elliott would like to go on to it, and so I'm quite happy to come away from that to have somebody who's keenly interested as well.
I mean, I haven't got a problem with standing down from this committee. I was only going to stay on it to keep continuity.
Well, I think that's nice.
But it doesn't meet as often as it did. I mean, we could always have two and a reserve, a third, I suppose, just in case people can't make it. But when I originally went on it, Jane Woodcock was the backup. She used to come when I couldn't make it. And in this last 12 months, Jane attended nearly all of the meetings. The most recent one I attended is to do with an agenda item, which is next if we get there.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we should extend it to 3 to help make sure we've got the cover. But also, I don't think because of how far the project is forward now and how it's going, it's not such an issue. I don't think. Okay.
So are we proposing 3 nominations for the restoration project? Is that what we're looking for?
Yes.
So what's that mean? You?
So what we've got is
Adam?
Adam, you and Michael Elliott. Okay?
Yes.
3, okay. Right, can I have nominations for Joyce, please?
Nominate.
Right, second.
Right.
All those in favour of Joyce? Thank you.
Okay.
Nominations for Adam?
Martin, thank you.
Martin, second David. All those in favour? And nominations for Michael Elliott?
Martin, thank you.
And Stan? Second. All those in favour of Michael Elliott? Okay, thank you very much. Oakham Festival Committee, presently Joyce is on that. Do you wish to remain on it, Joyce?
Yeah.
Yes, but
It's nearly up and over.
okay.
Finished.
Are there any other people wishing to be nominated for the festival? No? Okay, Joyce has nominated herself. Can I have a seconder for Joyce? All those in favour? All those in favour? Thank you very much. The Rutland Committee for First World War Commemoration. Adam is presently on that and wishes to remain on it. Can I have a nomination for Adam?
He's got all the
Joyce?
We won't fit anybody.
He
Okay,
likes dressing up.
is anyone else wishes to be on the First World War Commemoration?
No.
Okay, can I have a second? I've got a second.
Yes.
Martin, thank
well,
you.
I
Okay.
proposed.
You proposed, Martin second. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, can I ask the clerk now, do you want all that onto the things that we've got to have filled in?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Yes, they've got
On what
New
we're on?
declarations
on
of
the
interest.
declarations. Yes.
Declaration. Thank you.
No, it's not. It's actually your register of members' interest. So what I'll do tomorrow, I'll send it all out so you've all got it, and it is on part. Adam, can I just borrow yours for tomorrow?
Oh yes.
There's a where it says I am member or hold a position of general control or management in
On the front page.
It's actually A, other interests. I am in a position of general control or management of the following bodies to which I have been appointed or nominated by the authority.
Yes, what
Okay, so
page is
it's
that?
A. It's A under other interests.
Okay,
A.
Right.
so anybody nominated to new?
Okay, so I'll get the list out to everybody tomorrow so you've all got those that may have already submitted them. Well,
Okay, next item is Oakham Chapel Restoration Project. Adam.
Hello. The green paper that came round, hopefully if you've not already read it then read it now.
Quickly.
This is a big plan of the castle which I'll put there. I'll pass it round if you like. It's just a bigger version of what was already sent round. This here is, and I'm sorry these aren't in the pack, but it's just that they were came through that. This is what the fencing looks like.
Just like Spire Homes, yes.
And so that the council could make an informed decision on what was being asked, I took some photos to show what the current state of the fencing is like. Using my sexy camera, And the paper is reasonably straightforward. Part of the project is that the lottery funded project to renovate the castle grounds. We were made aware in the beginning that it would incorporate the changing of the perimeter fence. and it is in a state of disrepair, as you can see by those photos that are coming around. The cost will be met by this fund. The people that put it up have made a request that they would put the fence line now 1,000 mil or a metre further out than the existing line. So it sounds like we're losing a little bit of the park, but when you walk around there you realise it's not so substantial. The rationale behind doing that is it enables them, because the plan is to put 2 access gates into the fence, not for public access, but it's for contractor access. And by moving it a metre out, it enables easy access for people to go around and maintain the bottom of the slope. And that's it basically. It's just an update, and we've already sort of partly signed off to say that we would sort of go along with what they're doing. And of course, this is part of the consultation where we make a decision, and Richard will know better than I that if we accept this proposal to have the fencing in place, that we submit a letter or a licence to them in agreement, which is a formal document to say that we're allowing them to take down our fence and put up a new fence. There is one element in there which is not within this and might be considered for further consideration. At the moment we are meant to be responsible for, although you wouldn't think it looking at the state of the fence, we're responsible for maintaining our fence line, but we don't do it. The council may choose to do a boundary review at some time and pass over the responsibility of that fence line to the county council, but that is a separate matter altogether. The only thing we consider is that somebody else puts a new fence and pays for it. Questions?
Any questions? Sure.
Just to say that I think it will enhance our park.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do, especially for the green flag.
Okay.
I agree, it's going to be a wonderful, these pictures that Mr Lowe has provided does show how awful the fence is at the moment. The only concern I have is obviously land that's going to be the other side of that fence. Is there going to be some sort of licence agreement that the town council, which holds it in trust, doesn't lose it in future? I think there must be some legal agreement to say...
Sorry, if I could answer actually, Councillor Brooke, the council actually owns it.
Yeah. Up to the top.
The boundary, which most people think is actually the bottom of the banks, isn't. The Oakham Town Council, and it was a shock to us when this was brought up, when this project first came in front of the council owns to the top of the banks. It is town council.
And that's not always
clearly defined.
And that's one of the reasons why Oakham Town Council is classed as one of the partners in the Castle Restoration Project, because it is our land. And say maybe a future consideration of the council, they may choose to review their boundaries to relinquish the ownership of that area, because in actual fact it will incur future maintenance. But all very interested in the fact that these people want to put up a new fence.
I think the council's been quite lucky, because as you know there was a huge cost with some trees only last year, wasn't it? Chopped down because they damaged, but it does concern me that obviously at a future stage they'll discuss that, but the town council doesn't really own the land. It's held in trust for the people of the town, so I wouldn't want to see any of it given away.
By Oakham Town Council.
Yeah, but we hold it in trust for the people. It's not something that we should be able to just say we give away.
Yeah, there's one slight thing to consider. Has anyone thought of actually, when placing the fence in a different position, it could be detrimental to the actual site? Archaeology.
Oh, I think that's covered.
That's covered within the remit of the contractor's remit. Is that like when we put our own flagpole in, the heritage people will come along and look in all the holes. And this fencing is put up with. It's not a long trench with something slotted in it. It's going to be post holes. Yeah. So they're just going to dig a bunch of post holes. And to a certain extent, when you see how the embankment has come down and crashed against the fence, that's another reason of bringing it out, is to make it also safe. Because rocks or parts of the walling can actually be seen on cuts. So overall, it's all good.
What are the county looking for?
The county are looking for, as in the proposal here, is that the proposal is to acknowledge the request with a supporting letter or licence as appropriate being sent to Judith Baines, estate surveyor, agreeing to the works going ahead in line with the County Council contractor's recommendations, specifically removal and replacement of existing fence.
Okay. I mean, from what's been said, there's no need for a licence.
No, it's put just a letter to acknowledge.
So what we want is a letter saying that the council agrees to the removal and replacement of the existing fence.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Propose that.
Proposed, Joyce, second, all in favour? Yeah. Again, unanimous, thank you.
Thank you to the council.
No problem. Same way the other one.
Okay, scale of charges and terms of use of council owned or managed.
This one's very long.
Richard. To get publicity of the town and the town council moving. We do not yet have a terms of reference for this, but within, shall we say, the person that needs to work within agreed policies of the council and the views of the council, not the views of the individual, obviously. And before any release to the press or to social media, then that should be agreed with the chairman. That is a very, very broad outline of what the role entails. And any questions on that? Okay, do I have a proposal?
To take on the role.
Anybody wish to take on the role of publicity officer? No? No.
It's got to be a member of the promotions group.
No, member of the council.
No, but in practical terms, hasn't it? The
Doesn't have to be a member of the promotions group. Be any member here tonight, or in fact nomination people who are not here tonight. No?
It's not something that interests you, David.
No? Okay, yes.
I did express an interest, but I think I don't like the term, I don't like the term publicity officer because we can't be officers of the council, we're councillors. But also, I wondered if this should just be possibly deferred, or if the position is taken on, nothing is done until the publicity group has decided what we have, because this would involve like perhaps tweeting a Facebook page, a blog page on WordPress or Blogspot, and you would be repeating things like when there's news put on the website. That's what it would be doing, but we don't have the authority to actually set up those accounts or run them. So I just wonder if this is running before, what's the term? Before, yeah. I mean, I'd be happy to do that because you would be under the restrictions. You know, the council would say we would like to promote the concert. That's the text. So I'd be happy to just say, yes, I'll put it on that blog, WordPress, Blogspot, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever there is. I'd have to do some research to find all the different formats that are there. But I see it as an important role. But there isn't any plan of really what is required, but I would be quite happy to do it under the direction of the chairman.
And I think the point is it not only comes through the promotions working group, it's about the policies and what happens in the policies of the council. What's the council doing, which may not come under the auspices of the promotions working group. I mean, talking about things like neighbourhood plans, you're talking about taking over the cemetery, all those sort of things would be ideal for the publicity which we need to get involved in. Promotions working group would not be working around that, they'd be working around other things.
So that was just one example, but it was for publicity.
Yeah, so it's somebody who can actually take on, see the role of the council, what it wants to put across, and being able to do it. That's it.
Would you be interested, Monica?
Is this not in the remit of the chairman and clerk? I'm not saying that it should be a personal view, but they should have the finger on the pulse. Sorry, it was just a thought.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think it's repeating what I said, or I asked a question for, and now Councillor Brooks has in effect said, hasn't this role got to work in close coordination with the public, with the promotions group.
It's the whole council.
One aspect of it, yes.
that's
You know, it's
one.
not sole with the promotions working group, it needs to work within the whole gamut of the council.
It sounds as if it's being a bit anarchish, but if we start to accept that, to put out what the council is doing in a broader sense than just the narrower one that has been operated up to now by the promotions group, then it seems to me to be one and the same.
No, it's not really, because, I mean, what you could be doing is actually tomorrow sending off a report to the papers or wherever to say what's happened tonight, pick out the important bits of tonight, like certain people have gone on to certain bodies, outside bodies, for instance. So that's something which can happen. Also, charges in terms of the use of the council parks. That wouldn't be part of the promotions working group remit. So it's the complete broad remit of what the council is and wants to do.
Sorry, just in order to consider taking it on, I personally would want to just explore it a bit more in relation to the other group.
Sure.
But someone may want to.
So, well, I mean, what we're saying is it doesn't come to a conclusion, so we'll defer it from this meeting now and bring it back to a future meeting.
We could have
Yes,
more than one.
because, Chairman, to be a PR person, it's got to go through the channels,
Yeah.
by which time it gets in the paper, it's old hat.
Not necessarily.
It's got to be instant. I find.
No, it wouldn't.
That's why I'm suggesting
No,
you
I don't
and
think so.
Clive.
No, definitely not. I mean, the email does work fairly quickly. Yes.
Can I suggest, because obviously I understand the importance of the role, and obviously people may not understand all of how it works, but obviously there'll be the things like the next meeting, you would be tweeting that when the agenda's published. It's putting it out there. But can I make a suggestion? Because I'd like to do it, Mr. Elliott would like to do it. Maybe it would be better if there were two people working as a team, which then gives a bit of an extra safeguard as well, that somebody like me who could probably be better off writing for The Sun, Mr. Elliott for The Guardian or something, I don't know, but it would just, I couldn't do all the roles that were required to the standard, I admit that, you know, like writing a report suitable for the press the next day probably wouldn't be acceptable in the way I write things, but Mr. Elliott might, but then he might not be clued up, I don't know, about using Twitter and where we could put the report out, whereas I do have that skill of social media. And,
Well, it does appear that there's some uncertainty about the role, so are we in agreement we should defer this to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Is that?
It's a chance for people to talk about
All those in favour of deferring? Okay, thank you. Sorry, proposed was Stan, second was Michael. The next one is co-option. There are three vacancies on the council, as you're aware, and this is to co-opt to those three positions. The report is basically in front of you that we need to agree now to a proposed timescale and to also agree the members of the interview panel. Are there any questions about this? Before we go into that, yes.
It's sorry to have to say something again, but my view of this, and I've checked and I know the office has received it, there's guidance from the LRA, I get it wrong, but the local associations of councils, yes. Basically, there's no rules or law of how you attract new members, but the law says that everything that is conducted with the co-option process must be held in open session. So I'm taking that, and I may be wrong, that the interview part is not necessary because that is closed session. And from my personal point of view, I've been elected unopposed. If 3 or 6 people want to come forward, because we can co-opt extra, once we get a full council we can in law co-opt up to 50%, I think it is, extra members, which would make it a bit tight. But I don't think that we, or I should say me, have any right to say you don't fit the bill. I think we should possibly scrap the interviews, have an open day so people can come here and say, what do you do?
Can I just interrupt there? What you're suggesting is a change of council policy, which we're not looking at in this meeting.
No, but I think to comply with the rules and regulations, the interview part of it would then have to become public, and I think that would be pointless.
That is something for the future. What we're doing at the moment, we're abiding by council policy, which allows the interview at the moment.
No, but that's the law of the land. The law of the land says that everything attached to it must be held in open session.
Yeah, the appointments should be held in open session, but the interviews need not be.
It says the whole process.
No.
But we can change.
Anyway,
I'll check with Jake.
But
we can change.
we have a policy and a process at the moment which we need to abide by. We can't go through trying to change the policy before we do this co-option.
Well, we've changed things.
Not that quickly. It's got to come to the next council meeting.
We've amended things like extra members on committees.
No. So, what we've got is our present policy of co-option, which entails interviews, and we need to appoint a panel of at least 3 members to form the interview panel. I'm going to take somebody else first before you continue. No.
Well, that was what I was just going to raise.
Please, can we please talk when you're indicating the hand talk?
Can I be
Yes,
exempt?
please,
Because if this is the timetable, I will not be here for some of it.
No,
Okay.
I can't imagine all members will be here for everything, no.
Now, so, why, I won't be here on the 8th of July. See?
Okay. Okay.
My understanding was that we had scrapped the
Yes.
panel, interviewing panel, and gone to full council because
Yeah.
that's what we did
Yeah.
last time.
Well, all we're saying is a minimum of 3.
No.
Are we? If you decide that you want the whole council interviewing, which is a retrograde step, I would suggest, and I would,
We did it.
just a minute, Martin's first.
It is the case. Sorry, Martin first.
No, well, I disagree with you, Chairman, because most of the people are sort of muttering as I've kept quiet until standing up. The policy was changed, maybe not formally, but the last 2 co-options were held with the ability of all members being present. And I know that because I was one of the people who attended interviews. And then some decided that they didn't want to attend a second time, which was their right. But that's why I object to you saying we can't change the policy this evening, because you changed the policy, not yourself, but the council changed the policy for the last 2 co-option interviews.
I have to refer you back to item E, which says the interview of prospective candidates for co-option shall be taken by a minimum of 3 councillors. So it could be 9 councillors or 12 councillors.
But you just asked for 3.
I said a minimum
That's
of 3.
what's caused the
No, I
confusion.
asked for a minimum of 3.
Okay, well, I apologise. But
Okay, now it's up to you to decide how many is going to be
we've
involved.
all got confused.
Sorry, please don't keep talking. I want other people to have a vote. Yeah. So, what is the view of the council then? How many should be on that interview panel?
All of them.
All councillors? All
That
9?
are available.
All 9 would be invited to attend. And how would we run that interview with 9 members?
Well, like we did, sorry Chairman, like we've done the last one.
No, I wasn't here at the last one.
But everybody else.
Okay?
Well, right.
Okay, so we want all councillors to be involved with that interview.
Well, those that are available on the day.
Oh yes, I mean the
As long as
invitation,
there's
the invitation is there, yeah. Okay. Can I have a proposal for that then?
Before we move on,
Okay.
well, one of the reasons why it was changed to full council was because there were councillors that were saying they were having to make a decision about co-opting without having seen the person applying.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Chairman, is it appropriate to ask for an extension? It's now 9 o'clock.
Yes, thank you Doris for bringing that to my notice. Can I ask some proposal for an extension of the meeting by quarter of an hour?
Yes, please, and please can we have a comfort stop?
Yes, okay. Proposal for you, second? Okay, all in favour of extension quarter of an hour?
Quarter of an hour.
Quarter of an hour after the comfort stop, is it?
Very quickly. Yeah, just excuse me.
Okay, so I'm going to get publicity with the town and the town council moving. We do not yet have a terms of reference for this, but within, shall we say, the person that needs to work with an agreed policies of the council and the views of the council, not the views of the individual, obviously. And before any release to the press or to social media, then that should be agreed with the chairman. That is a very, very broad outline of what the role entails. Any questions on that? Okay, do I have a proposal?
To take on the role.
Anybody wish to take on the role of publicity officer? No? No.
It's got to be a member of the promotions group.
No, member of the council.
No, but in practical terms, hasn't it?
It doesn't have to be a member of the promotions group. Be any member here tonight, or in fact nomination people who are not here tonight. No?
It's not something that interests you, David.
No? Okay, yes.
I did express an interest, but I think I don't like the term publicity officer, because we can't be officers of the council, we're councillors. But also, I wondered if this should just be possibly deferred, or if the position is taken on, nothing is done until the publicity group has decided what we have, because this would involve like perhaps tweeting a Facebook page, a blog page on WordPress or Blogspot, and you would be repeating things like when there's news put on the website. That's what it would be doing, but we don't have the authority to actually set up those accounts or run them. So I just wonder if this is running before, what's the term? Before, yeah. I'd be happy to do that, because you would be under the restrictions. You know, the council would say we would like to promote the concert. That's the text. So I'd be happy to just say, yes, I'll put it on that blog, WordPress, Blogspot, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever there is. I'd have to do some research to find all the different formats that are there, but I see it as an important role, but there isn't any plan of really what is required, but I would be quite happy to do it under the direction of the chairman.
And I think the point is, it not only comes through the promotions working group, it's about the policies and what happens in the policies of the council. What's the council doing, which may not come under the auspices of the promotions working group. I mean, talking about things like neighbourhood plans, talking about taking over the cemetery, all those sort of things would be ideal for the publicity which we need to get involved in. Promotions working group would not be working around that, they'd be working around other things.
So that was just one example, but it was for publicity.
Yeah, so it's somebody who can actually take on, see the role of the council, what it wants to put across, and being able to do it. That's it.
Would you be interested?
Is this not in the remit of the chairman and clerk? I'm not saying that it should be a personal view, but they should have the finger on the pulse. Sorry, it was just a thought.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's repeating what I said, or I asked a question for, and now Councillor Brooks has in effect said, hasn't this role got to work in close coordination with the promotions group?
It's the whole council.
One aspect of it, yes. It's not solely the promotions working group, it needs to work within the whole gamut of the council.
It sounds as if it's being a bit anarchish, but if we start to accept that to put out what the council is doing in a broader sense than just the narrower one that has been operated up to now by the promotions group, then It seems to me to be one and the same.
No, it's not really, because, I mean, what you could be doing is actually tomorrow sending off a report to the papers or wherever to say what's happened tonight, pick out the important bits of tonight, like certain people have gone on to certain bodies, outside bodies, for instance. So that's something which can happen. Also charges in terms of the use of the council parks. That wouldn't be part of the promotions working group remit. So it's the complete broad remit of what the council is and wants to do.
Well, sorry, just in order to consider taking it on, I personally would want to just explore it a bit more in relation to the other group.
Sure.
But someone may want to.
So, well, I mean, what we're saying is it doesn't come to a conclusion, so we'll defer it from this meeting now and bring it back to a future meeting.
We could have
Yes,
more than
because, Chairman, to be a PR person, it's got to go through the channels,
Yeah.
by which time it gets in the paper, it's old hat.
Not necessarily.
It's got to be instant. I find.
No, it wouldn't.
That's why I'm suggesting
No,
you
I don't
and
think
Clive.
so. No, definitely not. I mean, the email does work fairly quickly. Yes.
Can I suggest, because obviously I understand the importance of the role, and obviously people may not understand all of how it works, but obviously there'll be the things like the next meeting, you would be tweeting that when the agenda's published, it's putting it out there. But can I make a suggestion, because I'd like to do it, and Mr. Elliott would like to do it. Maybe it would be better if there were two people working as a team, which I think is a bit of an extra safeguard as well, that somebody like me who could probably be better off writing for The Sun, Mr. Elliott for The Guardian or something, I don't know, but it would just, I couldn't do all the roles that were required to the standard, I admit that, you know, like writing a report suitable for the press the next day probably wouldn't be acceptable in the way I write things. But Mr. Elliott might, but then he might not be clued up, I don't know, about using Twitter and where we could put the report out, whereas I do have that skill of social media. And,
Well, it does appear that there's some uncertainty about the role, so are we in agreement we should defer this to next meeting?
Yeah.
Is that?
It's a chance for people to talk about
All those in favour of deferring? Okay, thank you.
it.
No, sorry, proposed was Stan, second was Michael. The next one is co-option. There are three vacancies on the council, as you're aware, and this is to co-opt to those three positions. The report is basically in front of you that we need to agree now to a proposed timescale and to also agree the members of the interview panel. Are there any questions about this? Before we go into that, yes.
It's sorry to have to say something again, but my view of this, and I've checked, and I know the office has received it, there's guidance from the LRA, I get it wrong, but the local association of councils, yes. Basically, there's no rules or law of how you attract new members, but the law says that everything that is conducted with the co-option process must be held in open session. So I'm taking that, and I may be wrong, that the interview part is not necessary because that is closed session. And from my personal point of view, I've been elected unopposed. If 3 or 6 people want to come forward, because we can co-opt extra, once we get a full council we can in law co-opt up to 50%, I think it is, extra members, which would make it a bit tight, but I don't think that we, or I should say me, have any right to say you don't fit the bill. I think we should possibly scrap the interviews, have an open day so people can come here and say, what do you do?
Can I just interrupt there? What you're suggesting is a change of council policy which we're not looking at in this meeting.
No, but I think to comply with the rules and regulations, the interview part of it would then have to become public, and I think that would be pointless.
That is something for the future. What we're doing at the moment, we're abiding by council policy, which allows the interview at the moment.
No, but that's the law of the land. The law of the land says that everything attached to it must be held in open session.
Yeah, the appointments should be held in open session, but the interviews need not be.
It says the whole process.
Incorrect.
But we can change.
Anyway.
I'll check with Jake.
But
We can change.
we have a policy and a process at the moment which we need to abide by. We can't go through trying to change the policy before we do the co-option.
Well, we've changed things.
Not that quickly.
We
It's got to come to the next council meeting.
We've amended things like
Not
extra
that.
members on committees.
No. So, what we've got is our present policy of co-option, which entails interviews, and we have need to appoint a panel of at least 3 members to form the interview panel. I'm going to take somebody else first before you
I thought it was in full council. Sorry.
No.
Well, that was what I was just going to raise.
Please, can we please talk when you're indicating the hand talk?
Can I be
Yes,
exempt?
yes, go on.
Because if this is the timetable, I will not be here for some of it.
No,
Okay.
I can't imagine all members will be here for everything, no.
Now, so, why, I won't be here on the 8th of July. see.
Okay. Okay.
My understanding was that we had scrapped the
Yes,
panel, the
Yeah.
interviewing panel, and gone to full council because
Yeah.
that's what we did
yeah.
last time.
Well, all we're saying is a minimum of 3, aren't we? If you decide that you want the whole council interviewing, which is a retrograde step, I would suggest, and I would,
We did it.
It
just a minute, Martin's first.
is the case, sorry, Martin's first.
No, well, I disagree with you, Chairman, because most of the people are sort of muttering as I've kept quiet until standing up. The policy was changed, maybe not formally, but the last 2 co-options were held with the ability of all members being present. And I know that because I was one of the people who attended interviews. And then some decided that they didn't want to attend a second time, which was their right. But that's why I object to you saying we can't change the policy this evening, because you changed the policy, not yourself, but the council changed the policy for the last 2 co-option interviews.
I have to refer you back to item E, which says the interview of prospective candidates for co-option shall be taken by a minimum of 3 councillors. So it could be 9 councillors or 12 councillors.
But you just asked for 3.
I said a minimum
That's
of 3.
what's caused the
No, I
confusion.
asked for a minimum of 3.
Okay, well, I apologise. But
Okay, now it's up to you to decide how many is going to be
we've
involved.
all got confused.
Sorry, please don't keep talking. I want other people to have a go. So, what is the view of the council then? How many should be on that interview panel?
All of them
All councillors? All
that
9?
are available.
All 9 would be invited to attend. And how would we run that interview with 9 members?
Well, like we did, sorry Chairman, like we've done the last one.
No, I wasn't here at the last one.
But everybody else.
Okay?
Well,
Okay, so we want all councillors to be involved with that interview.
well, those that are available on the day.
Oh yes, I mean the
As long as
invitation,
there's
the invitation is there, yeah. Okay. Can I have a proposal for that then?
Before we move on,
Okay.
well, one of the reasons why it was changed to full council was because there were councillors that were saying they were having to make a decision about co-opting without having seen the person applying.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Chairman, is it appropriate to ask for an extension? It's now 9 o'clock.
Yes, fine. Thank you, Doris, for bringing that to my notice. Can I ask some proposal for an extension of the meeting by 1/4
Yes, please, and please can we have a comfort stop?
Yes, okay. Proposal for you, second? Okay, all in favour of extension 1/4?
1/4.
1/4 after the comfort stop, is it? Very quickly.
Yeah, just excuse me.
The council, I wouldn't want to be on the committee because I wouldn't know what I was looking for. 'Cause I'm still learning myself.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know whether Michael and Martin feel exactly the same, but I'd find it difficult to do it.
Okay, but the invitation obviously if it comes to the whole council will be there for you to attend if you want. Okay, so can I have a, sorry, let me see.
You asked about the timetable. My concern is that it seems to be a very long, drawn-out process, and I was wondered if it could be speeded up, because we need a full council, and I just think that by the time we get round to co-option in July, it's quite a way away.
What's your proposal?
Sorry?
What's your proposal?
Well, I don't know whether that's if that's a legal requirement, because obviously the council's got to advertise it, so you'll probably say 7 days to advertise.
Next council is the 10th of June.
But I think that I believe there are people out there who want to come onto the council, so I think that it just puts them off that it seems to be a long drawn out process.
Well, we can only agree to the new members at the council meeting.
Yeah,
the next meeting is the 10th of June, which is a fortnight, which is much too tight to do it. So the one after that will be the 8th of July.
But could there not be a special extraordinary meeting just for co-option?
Okay. I'm at a loss to know where you think you could cut the time shorter than this. What aspects?
It's just a comment that somebody said to me, it seems a long time away. That wasn't my personal.
Okay, no, but where could we cut out some of the time then, do you think?
I hadn't looked at it myself to work it out, because I didn't know what you could cut out. I know you've got to advertise it.
Yeah, I mean, if you advertise this week, it can only go in next week, which is the 4th and 5th of June. You've got to leave people, and then you've got to leave people time to read it, apply, and then things come back to us.
I'm not saying that time scale's wrong, but it just concerns me that if you're starting committees and things, and we're already working, that these people are going to come along in July and not have a lot to do or be behind. But personally, I would like to have seen in this timetable, at least, as I mentioned, instead of an interview, that you want to have an interview, that there should be an open day where people can come.
We've done that before, though.
But it works. I'm sure it does work. You've got to let people have the opportunity to come and say, well, how many meetings do we have to attend? And
when would you have that?
It all takes time.
Well, I think if that's the point, that it's June next week, and this is 5 weeks. The only, I mean, it's striking, in answer to, do you need the time between 19th of June and 29th of June to interview? That's 10 days. So the interview is set for 10 days after the deadline for people applying. That's the only place.
Yeah, but then you've still got the 8th of July as the next meeting available. So it's just...
It does seem probably the minimum work really.
Okay. Any other points? Well, we'll give somebody else a chance now. Any other points on this timetable?
We've got an extension for a quarter of an hour.
Yes, I know. You've got another point on the timetable?
I think it's just because also it seems to have started late.
Well, it started soon people do it. Okay.
So obviously the election was
Can I propose a please for the timetable as stated? Paul, second. Mike. All those in favour of the timetable?
Yeah.
Councillor Brooks, I've just looked at you there. You were elected on the 11th of May. The annual meeting was the 13th of May. This is an extra meeting of the council that's being held tonight. Under normal circumstances, this will be delayed for another 2 weeks. So this timetable that's in front of you is as fast as we can do this.
Okay, well that's an explanation.
Are you voting against it?
I'll abstain because I don't approve of the...
So I voted for it.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I cannot vote against
Six
it.
for and 1 abstained.
No, against, please.
Against, sorry, no abstained. Okay. To agree on at least 3 members who will form an interview panel, are we then going to say that it will be all members of the council will interview?
If you want to.
Yes.
What we're saying, Chairman, is it won't work with 2. As
Well,
long as there's 3 or more than 3,
Yeah, but-
that's okay.
The point has been made that it should be all members of the council.
Yeah,
Do you have a proposal for all members of the council being on interview?
if we can get there.
Yes, you're proposing.
Yes.
Second. All.